again, if you'll notice, see where those fibrous roots are? There are none out here. So I can come back and cut this and put it in that 2.5 quart pot. And that's exactly what I'm about to do on this one. Gonna judge it off of your pot. Dean Family Acres. Alright guys, so we're going to try and get a few more of these blueberry suckers planted up into pots for now. And then we might try and see about transplanting some of them later on. Might be next year, we're really not sure. I'm a little bit behind in regards to trying to get some of this stuff done. And just from a time frame, weather, it's been raining nonstop here, which can be good about moving soil, but man, like getting outside, I really don't want to work when it's pouring down rain out. And you can't hardly move the tractor because I know it's a little bit different for us just because we do have a yard and that kind of thing. And I will drive a tractor across it. I'm not that paranoid, at least on the majority of the areas, but you drive the tractor across it and then you end up with ruts all through. So you got to kind of be evaluating exactly what you want to do there. So we're going to try and get some of these blueberries planted up, the suckers like we did in the past, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this update. All right guys, so we have all of our Premier potted up here. So we've got 6 Premier. All of these were good shape. None had no roots. There were a couple that had definitely more than others. And I also labeled with a paint pen. So hopefully you guys were able to kind of see how I did that. Just any paint pen will do. It needs to be a paint pen though. Sharpie will wear off in less than a year if you leave them sitting outside. I've learned that paint pens, they will definitely last in time in regards to up potting or planting in the ground. You can also get tags if you want to and stick them in. I will say those tend to get lost by something pulling them out, breaking off, weathering, whatever. And if you write on a Sharpie with that, it will come off. You can even, you can use like milk crates or milk jugs, cut those down and use those as tags. I've done that before, but you've got to use paint pen. Sharpie will not work. Can't stress that enough. So I've got those labeled. On some of them I had to write directly on the pot. So again, you just kind of think through, all right, what are you going to use them for next time? Does it really matter? If there is a label on them, I try and use, just write that on the label. So you guys might be able to see, if it'll focus. Some of these are actually even budding out, so they should be totally fine. Just remember that if they do bud out and they try and put on fruit, that you do want to try and pinch those off at least that first year, even with these sucker plants, just to kind of give them the energy to be able to establish themselves on their own. All right guys, so we got our Premier potted up. We also had one Titan. We got that one potted up. And next we're going to do powder blue. Again, remember we are going to kind of try and keep these organized and separated. So we've got our paint pen, we're marking our pots. And even if we cut things off, I think we might try and do some cuttings in some milk jugs and see if we can get some things rooted. Another powder blue cutting, although it's not from my plant. I know that this is powder blue. So we'll put it with our powder blue cuttings that we got earlier today in regards to trying to get some of those started. So let's see what we can do in getting these potted up. Again, pretty simple. Just want to make sure that you've got your mix. So the biggest thing that makes that a little more complicated is when you do buy your sphagnum peat moss, you actually, it's compressed. It's compressed a lot. So if you do 1/3 of one of those bales to a whole bag of soil conditioner, pine bark soil conditioner, that's almost perfect. You can go a little heavy one way or the other. It's completely up to you. The more soil conditioner you put in, the more you're going to have to water them because that peat does hold that moisture. Both of them help you with their pH to make things and make them have a good start. So just kind of think through that when you're trying to start out and come up with your mix. I like to use 1 gallon pots. You can use, I think that these are 2 quart. These actually might be 2 quart too. Let's see here. What's it say on the bottom? Alright, so this is a 2.5 quart. This is probably a 2 quart. And then you've got gallon size too. So I honestly, if I can, I like to use 2 quart as much as possible. I just think, you know, depending on the size of your roots, it ends up working just right for blueberries for starting these sucker plants. Now, if you do have a bigger one and you had to cut back further on some of the roots in regards to that coming back, and that's when it started having those fibrous roots on that stem that's underneath the ground. I personally want to have some of those fibrous roots on the end or somewhere on that. So basically, you know, if those start closer, let's give you an example. Oh, let's see here. All right, here's a good example. Great example, actually. So this here, there you go. All right, so this is a perfect example, and honestly one that could go probably straight in the ground if I had my soil prepared. But this one has fibrous roots all the way down. If by chance you had it and it was like fibrous roots right here and then nothing for like a foot, I'd go ahead and cut it off right here, as long as you've got those fibrous roots. But this one, pretty much, it might have to go in a little bit larger pot, or I might have to kind of tilt it to make it fit inside of the size pot that I have. Again, I like the 2.5 quart, but 1 gallon certainly works fine. You just got to also think about how much soil you're going to have, and also how frequently you're going to water. The more soil that you have, the more water capacity and just basically being able to hold those nutrients in that you have, and unless that you're going to have to up pot. You could probably keep one of these in a gallon pot for a couple years with not having to up pot at all. I like to have just a little bit of mix in the bottom of the pot and then put that plant on top. Another example, this one's roots need to go in something larger. There is no need for me to try and squeeze this into a 2 quart pot. So we'll set this to the side. This one's a little bit long in regards to where that is, but again, if you'll notice, see where those fibrous roots are? There are none out here. So I can come back and cut this and put it in that 2.5 quart pot, and that's exactly what I'm about to do on this one. I'm going to judge it off of your pot. Alright, another great example here is, you see where everything's coming across. You don't want to plant that any deeper than that on this one. If it was just one of these stems and it was nothing, you could definitely plant it a little bit deeper if you wanted to. But it having this older offshoot coming here, this probably got pruned at one point just by the lawnmower, etc. And because of that, it shot up here. So you don't want to bury any deeper than that. Alright, and as you can see, perfect height. I want to plant it right at that height that was at. Try and get that grass seed out of there. There we go. So that should work perfectly. And always remember, after you do these, even if you've kept them moist, you definitely want to water everything in really, really well. I would even strongly try and recommend that you try and keep them in some shade. You do not want them in a lot of shade. Because they just won't grow as well. I've kind of learned that, you know, if you put them right underneath, I use my crepe myrtle as an example. I'll put everything right underneath it, and I have to adjust exactly where it is depending on what the plant is. And also remember, just if you got multiple different varieties, put them in the same area and make sure you know where things are. I would even recommend go ahead and label them as soon as you do them. Don't wait, you will get them mixed up. It's just too easy to do and miscalculate exactly where things are. Here's an example. See how that's got roots on it? If it doesn't have at least something like this, or at least a couple of these little hairy roots, I don't get it. I put it back and I leave it in the ground for the next year. But this, you also could plant this one, you know, to here if you wanted to. It will eventually get roots. Alright guys, so we got the powder blue in. We got 10 of those planted in pots, got them labeled. Now all we need to do is prune just a couple of them. This one we've already pruned here. I think most of these are alright. These weird branches coming way out on the side here because basically the root was going like this and up with this shoot. But we're planting it this way just because otherwise we'd have to have like a 3+ gallon plant, 3+ gallon pot to be able to put that small sucker in. So we're going to trim that. I know this one's got some good branching, but it did the same thing, taking off that way. So we're going to prune these so that hopefully they will branch off down here and start coming up. Other than that, powder blue blueberry, 10 of those. So we will see exactly how many we've got left of one other variety. So y'all stay tuned and we'll see exactly how those turn out. Hey guys, working on getting some more blueberries potted up, working on the Climax variety now. And I think we're gonna end up with about 8 or 9 of those. So that should give us quite a few on this go round. Appreciate you. Hey guys, working on getting some more blueberries You guys watching?